What's going on? It is Jason. You look at the, I don't know, is that showing up? Look at this is why I love Nespresso. This little foamy, creamy part at the top is just so delicious. Ariga, that's a mighty good Kupek. What's going on, everybody? We got a lot to catch up on. Let me just hop in the chat and say welcome. And so good to see you. Drop a line if you're feeling fine. So corny. All right, here we go. Pin message. How's everybody doing? I know it's been a minute. It's been actually a few minutes. It's been 2 weeks since, I didn't go live last week, and we're going to get into all that, but it's been roughly about 2 weeks since I've been live last. And a lot has happened in that 2 weeks, and I kind of just want to catch you guys up. So first and foremost, I hate being sick. Being sick is the worst. And I think maybe once a year I'll catch a little cold or stomach issue, but for the most part I can power through those things. They don't derail me. Everything's fine and dandy. The only time I've really been derailed, I'd say maybe a handful of times in my life. One, I got strep throat pretty bad, and that was brutal because it was me and my 2 little kids all got strep throat at the same time, so that was rough. And at that point in my life, I was kind of a single dad, so I was kind of managing the kids and dealing with my own sickness, and it was rough. And then the other time, I got shingles really bad, and that was debilitating. So I got shingles pretty bad. And then the next 2 times is with COVID and valley fever hitting close to the same time. Like I had valley fever and COVID around the same time in my life. So those were rough times. But even so, even with those sickness, I think the most I was down and out was probably about 2-3 days at the most. Even with COVID, I was like back to work after the 3rd day and ready to get back after it. But last Tuesday, I was, everything was fine, feeling great, went to work, even feeling good at work for the most part. And then somewhere in between the day, a light switched and I started feeling feverish. I started feeling chilled, like I started shivering really bad, and it was just not a good feeling. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on with me. Like I'm not feeling so hot. And my coworker was like, man, you should probably just go home. And then I was like, not a good idea to probably be here. But so my wife had a doctor's appointment that Tuesday, which was last week. And I was like, hey, can you make me an appointment when you're at the clinic? She made an appointment. It was for the following day. It was Wednesday, the next morning. I was like, cool. I came home, just kind of went to bed, wasn't feeling very well. Checked my temperature, had like 103 temp, and just, it was a train wreck. And then suffered through the night, woke up the next morning, and went to my doctor's appointment. And we get seen here not too far up the road, and went and checked in with my PA and said, hey man, this is what I'm struggling with. She's like, these things are tricky because you have vague symptoms, but really it's hard to like pinpoint, and I really don't know it sounds like you have a viral infection of sorts or some sort of infection, but until I know what it is, I can't really, the course of action needs to be identified. So she sent me home with the stool sample. But here's the thing. Okay, so earlier that Tuesday, or the day before, something super embarrassing happened. I'm bringing gear in from my car because it's cranking up to 90 degrees now, and you can't just leave things in your car because it's not good for it. So I'm bringing stuff in, and I'm carrying everything. I grab my camera bag, and I set it down, and my stomach was kind of hurting too, but it wasn't really the prominent issue. It was more the fever and the chills, but my stomach wasn't right either. And I was like, man, I don't know what's going on with me. So I like bent over. There's a little fly flying around. I bent over and picked up my camera bag. As I'm lifting it up, I crapped my pants. so embarrassing. Like literally crapped my pants. Oh, it was gross and embarrassing. I couldn't believe I did it. And so I'm like, oh. So I like get my pants and my boxers and everything, and I like clean them out, and then hopped in the shower, took a shower, and then I went to bed. So that's what actually happened on Tuesday. Crapping your pants is not a good way to end the day, but that's specifically what happened. So, so gross. And then my wife was like giving me a hard time. She's like, did you put your crap in the washing machine without washing? I was like, no, I cleaned everything out. Everything was cleaned out before I put it in the washer. She's like, our washing machine stinks. And I was like, it was not me. I definitely did my due diligence to clean the shit out. That's exactly what happened. And then I woke up that Wednesday, went to my doctor's, explained the stomach issue, explained the fever, the chills, and then she sent me home with a stool sample and said, hey, do this. They'll come pick it up from your house, and you're good to go. And I was like, awesome. But she didn't give me anything. She did not prescribe me anything. She just said, we're going to have to figure out what it is first. But if you get worse, you're going to have to go into the ER. And I'm like, okay. So that Wednesday, I suffered. Still suffering. Still 103 temp. Still the chills. Stomach wasn't being that big of a problem. I had zero appetite. I didn't eat anything. And then I pretty much just stayed in bed. And then Thursday, midday, closer to the evening, my wife's like, you need to go into the hospital because something's not right. Like my blood oxygen levels were like 93%. And then my fever was still about 103. And I still had the chills, and I just was so lethargic and just couldn't really kick this thing. It was just not good. So I ended up going to the ER Thursday and told him, explained everything. He's like, man, the whole weird thing is your stomach problem, but that's besides the fact. Let's go ahead and run some labs. So they took my blood, they took my urine, and then they came in and did an x-ray of my chest. And as he's there doing the x-ray, he's like checking out my chest. He's like, you got a 4-centimeter chunk that looks like probably is pneumonia in your lungs on the right side. And I'm like, oh boy. So he goes, I'm going to prescribe an antibiotic for you. Just start taking this. And then we're going to follow up with your primary care provider. And we're going to look at doing another x-ray in like a month after whatever's in my lungs clears. And I'm like, cool. So that was Thursday night. I came home. I started my antibiotics, started taking them, suffered Thursday night, just taking Tylenol for the fevers and stuff. And then I started not feeling good. And then woke up Friday feeling like crap still. Woke up Saturday feeling like crap still. And now I'm like 3 days into my antibiotics. Sunday, still feel like crap, just not getting better. And I was going through this weird cycle of feeling okay in the morning, like low fever, low-grade fever, chills kind of went away. But then right around 11, 12 p.m., everything spiked right back up, and I started feeling like crap again. And it stayed with me pretty much the entire night. And then Saturday night, I developed a horrible cough. I was like hacking all night, driving the entire house nuts with my cough. But it was such a dry cough. It wasn't like those productive coughs where you get and you're like coughing and stuff comes out. None of that was happening. It was more of a dry cough that was just deep inside my lungs. And then suffered Sunday, and then my wife's like, you need to go back to the doctor on Monday. And then I go back to the doctor, and I was like, hey, and in this whole time, if I didn't go to the ER, I would still be currently waiting for that stool sample in my original doctor's appointment to figure out what the heck was wrong with me. I would have been suffering that entire time, not on antibiotics, just sitting there gritting it out. Because I called and asked about my sample, and they was like, we don't have the results yet. And that was like Friday. And I'm like, oh, great. So Monday, went and did a walk-in appointment with my doctor, explained everything again. And he's like, man, this is really peculiar. Like, I'm not going to say that you have pneumonia, even though the doctor identified it as pneumonia in your lungs. You had that 4-centimeter gunk in there. I can see that. He goes, but I don't know. He goes, I just don't know. And I have one of those investigative doctors that likes to figure things out and dissect things and really get to the root of stuff. And then I asked him, I was like, could it be my valley fever flaring up? He's like, that doesn't make sense either. He goes, but all we can go on is what the original ER doctor said. So we're just going to stick with that. You're on a great antibiotic. It's going to do you wonders. But in the meantime, I'm going to help this give you some like Band-Aids to limp you along until whatever's inside you gets out. And so he gave me a steroid pack, an inhaler, and then he gave me some cough syrup, codeine cough syrup to help me sleep at night. So it would kind of limit the cough a little. And not take it away, but just limit it just because you want to cough up the gunk that's inside your lungs. So, yeah. Dude, it was, what's up, David? It was brutal, man. It was the most brutalest thing that I've ever walked through in my entire life. I am so glad to be on this side talking to you guys right now versus what I was feeling like the last couple weeks. But yeah, I'm back on the side of feeling okay. I'm not 100%, but it's okay. I feel like I'm 100% compared to what I used to feel like just given a few days ago. But yeah, so my doctor gave me a bunch of medicine to help me. And then Tuesday, with taking the steroid pack, this past Tuesday, I started feeling A-okay. I started feeling the fever kind of dropped, and then I was like, I'm going to monitor it, and if it's gone or low and it doesn't spike back up, come Wednesday, if I'm feeling like this, I'm just going to go ahead and get back to work. And my wife's like, it's a terrible idea, but you do you, boo. And I was like, all right. And I haven't been running either. I had to tell my coach, I got pneumonia, can't run. He's totally understands, and he kind of put a pause to the training. So, and then, so Tuesday, the fever never came back, was still feeling good. The cough medicine worked really well, helped me sleep. And then that Wednesday, I woke up not even a fever, I don't think. And I was like, I'm going back to work. So I went back to work Wednesday, but I only worked like a quarter or a day and a half because closer to like 1 or 2, I started feeling like poo again. And I was like, I'm just going to go home and rest. Brought some edits home with me and was editing from home for the most part. And then Thursday, woke up feeling great. I would say I was about a 65, 70%. And knowing this past Friday, I had a big shoot that we had to do Friday morning into the afternoon. So I wanted to make sure I was solid and not feeling like crap, because the temperatures here in Arizona are spiking up. It's crazy because it's like beginning of March and we're already at close to 100 degrees in the temps here. And next week it's supposed to be 100 all week long, which is rough. And it's just extremely hot here. So I didn't want to be, and we were outside on Friday, so I'm outside shooting in the heat. But I did okay. Like, I just hydrated really well. You know, I had my antibiotics. I had an inhaler. That was the other thing the doctor gave me, was this inhaler. Had the inhaler, so kind of did fine Friday. And then yesterday felt okay. And then today I feel pretty good. Even to the point, what's that? Yeah, man, Joe Schmo, I came on early because I had an opportunity where the wife was out doing her thing and my in-laws took the kids. So I was like, I'm taking advantage of this opportunity to maybe hop on early so I'm not worried about it tonight. So that's why I'm on super early. Yeah. It's always good when the grandparents, and that's the other thing, and that's a good transition. That's a good thing because we have tons of support and family. You know, my wife was sick like the week before, so she was down and out, and it was helpful to have my mom here and my in-laws here to help with the kids and to cook us food. And then my work was super supportive, like saying, take all the time you need, it's okay. Like, don't overdo it. Like, come back when you feel like you're 100% or close to it. You know, don't worry about the stressors of the job and all that stuff. My work even sent us some dinners, which was really thoughtful and awesome to have that support. And then all my Celebrate Recovery and community of them praying over me and all that support there. So we had tons of prayer, tons of support, you know, help with the kids. And my wife had her friend fly in from Washington, D.C. and stay with us for like a week. So she was here helping out my wife. So it was so nice to just stay in bed and not really do anything. I mean, not really. I'm not that type of guy that likes to just sit in bed and have my life fly by me. It's one thing, you know, when you're super sick. I mean, I had no options because I just wasn't well enough to just get up and do things. Like, my energies were gone. I didn't eat for like 5 days. No joke. I did not eat anything other than I didn't eat anything. I think that Monday I had a banana. So this past Monday is the first time I eat. I hopped on the scale, and I was just complaining about this the other day about how I never go below like 185 or whatever. That's just kind of like where I've been the last couple years. Yeah, I'm down to 174. So not the way you want to lose weight by any means. And I'm sure I'm going to gain it back now that I'm starting to eat again and my appetite's back. But I didn't want to eat anything. It was just nuts. It was like I felt full. I had zero appetite. I didn't want to eat. I wasn't hungry. It was just a weird thing for like 4 or 5 days. I just didn't want to eat anything. So super interesting. But then Wednesday, when I was back at work, my doctor's office called me and said, hey, not only, he goes, just want to let you know your stool sample came back and you have a stomach virus. And I'm like, what? So that was the whole stomach thing. So on top of having pneumonia, I had some sort of stomach virus, but it didn't really bother me too much other than me, pooping my pants. So, yeah, it didn't really affect me because I wasn't really eating. But so hopefully the antibiotics took care of that as well, because the antibiotics I was on was like a general antibiotics that kind of was like a catch-22 for all the bugs you got in your body, I guess, to zap them. But yeah, so now I'm feeling pretty good. Unfortunately, like when you're going through the sickness, it seems like my immune system is rocked, and like all the viruses come out to play. I have fever blisters that I get, which are terrible. I guess they're a herpes virus. That's one of the herpes viruses. So I basically got herpes on my lips. I had like 4 of them pop up on my lips, and they're just now starting to heal. So I was in rough shape, having all these fever blisters on my mouth, which is not fun and embarrassing, but it's part of the gig with the way my immune system is. I mean, having valley fever just rocked my immune system, and so I'm worried as I'm getting older what's in store for me down the road. But that's why I'm so adamant about working out, running, taking care of myself. So because I'm hitting 50. I hit 50 years old in March. It is March 24th. So in a couple weeks, I'm turning 50, and I'm just like thinking about my mortality a lot lately. So this whole time I was sick, I was just thinking of my mortality and laying in bed. I'm praying to God. I'm like journaling. I'm like talking to God. I'm like, God, are my affairs in order here in case I bite the bullet? Like, is everything good to go? Do I feel? And part of me does feel like I'm in a great place because I know where I'm going to go after I die. But then there's a part of me is like thinking about all my sins. It's like I got flooded with this rush of all the terrible things that I did throughout my life that just kind of hit me. I was like, man, that's not a good feeling. I don't want to be thinking about this stuff, but it just started like popping up in my head and in my mind. And I'm just like, maybe I'm not ready. But yeah, that's getting a little dramatic and a little dark, but that's kind of what I was doing. I went ahead and during this whole time I was sick and binge watched the entire 2 seasons of The House of David, which was pretty cool. I thought it was interesting, because what it did is it made me, because, those things are dramatized. They're not actual. Some of them are actual events, but some of them are dramatized to fill in the gaps to tell the story. But I would take the information from what they were saying, and then I go look it up in the Bible and see, and it's just like super cool to like do that. So it was a lot of fun. You hit 50 in Feb, man? All right, dude. I guess I'm on your coattails, brother. Happy belated birthday. That's awesome. 50. Didn't think I would live to see 50, man. Well, I'm not there yet. I may not. Something might happen to me in the interim, and I might be taken down, but if things go the way that they're going, I'm going to make it. So, yeah, got a couple more days until I hit 50. But congratulations. It's a milestone for sure. I personally didn't think I would hit it, but I did. So here I am, about to hit 50, feeling pretty good. So minus pneumonia and feeling all sick and all the bad things that came along with that. But yeah, what else? Work's been great. Have a couple of shoots lined up for the next couple of weeks. We got quite a few shoots. We hired 2 new people, part of our visual media department. So we got 2 new peeps coming on board, which is exciting. Get to meet them. I actually don't get to meet them for a while. I wasn't there for their final interview processes, so I didn't really get a chance to meet them. And then they are starting when I'm actually taking some time off, which is another good transition. I am headed to Seattle in March 26th. I fly there to meet up with my dad. We convinced my pops to move here to Arizona. So I'm excited about that because I have my mom here. Now my dad's going to be here. If I could only get my sister to move from Alaska here, then the whole thing would be complete. But right now, got my mom here. Shortly after we moved here, we convinced my mom to move here, so she's been here for a minute. And then my dad was thinking about staying up there in Washington, but then I started talking to him hey, think about your good old son here in the future when you start declining in health. it'd be nice to have you close by, our family close by, so when things start to go down that road, we're able to take care of you and things are good to go. So I'm flying there March 26th, gonna help him pack up some stuff, and then we're gonna drive. We're gonna take a week to drive back here. We're driving his vehicle and some other belongings that he has that he doesn't want the movers to take. And then we're gonna hit the road and then drive here to Arizona. So we're excited about it. I'm a little nervous about it because I haven't been around my dad in a minute, and he's kind of been isolated for the last however many years, kind of up in Washington. So, but 56, man. There's no way you look 56, dude. I can't believe you're 56, David. That is crazy. Man, you look good for 56, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Man, we youngsters. We are youngsters. I don't feel like a youngster sometimes, but yeah. So yeah, I'm excited to help the pops out, get them squared away, get them here. It's going to be a fun little break. So heading up there on the 26th, and going to take the rest of the time to make our way down here. And then one good thing is I'm excited to actually get back to running. So Monday, I told my coach that I'm feeling optimistic. So he's like, cool, let's do a little shake-off run, get the legs warmed up. So I'm going to go for a 45-minute run on Monday, see how the body does. And if I do okay and I feel okay, then we're going to get back to the workouts that we were doing prior to me getting down with the sickness. So, all right, here's the last thing that I want to talk about that's kind of been on my mind is my desire with YouTube. As we're about to dive into my analytics, which I took a small glance at where I'm at as far as like views and everything, it's so low. But and it could be like some remnants of me being sick and just having no energy or no desires at all to do anything. I am struggling with this YouTube stuff. Like, I'm struggling to want to pick up the camera and create content. It's so, I don't know what's going on. And I've never really felt like that before. I don't feel like, oh, I'm just done. I'm not going to create anything. Like, I literally shot a bunch of stuff when I was sick because I'm weird like that. Like, I like to capture me suffering in a weird way. So I did capture some stuff of me being sick, and I was going to tell the story of my pneumonia through that and put that together. But then I started editing it and diving in, and then I was just like, I don't even know if I want to do this. So it's just a weird thing that I'm going through right now with wanting to create content for YouTube, because I've been doing it for a long time sporadically, since 2017 or somewhere around there, and or 2018, and it's just been, I don't know, I'm just in a weird place right now, I guess, creatively, to want to shake things off. Maybe when I look at scaling back at work, I don't know what that looks like either. I know my wife's business is doing really well, and she needs help because she's growing her business. And so it may look like, me scaling back what I do at Small Giants, maybe. I'm not sure. I haven't got the feelings of wanting to just totally punch out yet, but it's a conversation that's kind of been, lingering in my mind as what's next for me. And if I did decide to do that, take some time, maybe just go contract with Small Giants and just be a shooter, when they need help. That's something I'm looking at too, but I haven't really made that determination that that's what I'm going to do. And so I'm kind of just, things are, especially when you get close to death, I think. Not that I was close to death, but I'm being dramatic now. But when you're thinking about your mortality and I only have so much time left, and then, I got small kids. Like I got a 2 and a 5-year-old, man. I was thinking about them this entire time that I was ill. And it's like, man, I want to be around for, the important things that they walk through in life. And do I necessarily want to be working this entire time and doing all that? So there's some things that I'm thinking about, but I feel as if once I get to a point where I kind of scale back doing this for a living, which I do, videographer, editor for a living, where I'm constantly on camera, I'm constantly in edits, I'm constantly doing that, the energy will shift towards me actually wanting to do more videos for YouTube because I have the time and I have the bandwidth and the energy to do it. But currently where I'm at, I just don't have any desire or bandwidth to even want to pick up a camera and tell any stories right now. So weird. It's just a weird thing, but I digress. All right. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into my numbers, which I know are going to be terrible because I haven't touched YouTube in like almost 2 weeks. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I'm still rocking the Zens. Oh, here's a funny story. So this whole time I was sick, I got my buddy Joseph in the back of my head, because he was, really walking me through this whole smoking decision that I made. And he was like helping me see things from a different perspective. And like, man, it's just a lot of prayers for me to stop smoking, because I started smoking in November and I carried it through till mid-January is when I stopped. So I haven't smoked in a while. And then when I was sick and I'm laying there in bed and it was hard to breathe because my breaths were shortened and like my lungs were just like not working right. I was just like, I can't believe I smoked. Maybe that's what caused all this, is that little brief stint I did of smoking damaged some things to where I'm dealing with this now. And I'm just like cursing myself like up and down, like, what an idiot. Why would you do this? Like, you're so dumb. Like, that positive talk we do, we have with ourselves where we're like, it's not positive. It's terrible. But yeah, as I'm sitting here doing that, I still had a desire to go and have a cigarette, which is so dumb. This is like, that's how I know I'm just a straight up addict, alcoholic minded, because I'm sitting there, could barely breathe, fevers, chills, suffering. And the first thing that like pops into my head is like in the mornings when I wake up, I was like, man, it'd be good to go sit out on the back patio, drink a coffee and smoke a cigarette, which is so terrible. But it reminds me of just, how I'm just a broken man. And it's so funny, but I'm not doing that. I'm not touching cigarettes again, but I am unfortunately still doing the Zens. So we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna pop one in right now. All right. Keeping it real, people. Yeah, keeping it real. I'm talking about pooping pants and taking nicotine. So, all right, let's go ahead and dive into some YouTube stuff. I'll probably have to minimize this and then pop open YouTube. Yeah, my channel is suffering, man. It is suffering. All right, let's blow this up. Go to 3. Let me see if that took. I don't have a monitor. Okay, yep, oops, sorry for the inception. I think we're good. Picture in picture, put it down at the bottom. All right, let's go ahead and dive into these scary numbers. So for those that don't know, this right here, this is the church that I attend, Sun Valley Community Church. It is a beautiful church. I love it, love the people there. That's the Celebrate Recovery that I'm one of the leaders at their Gilbert campus. Phenomenal church, and it's just been an awesome series that they're in right now. Get to know God, and through the process of knowing God, we identify some stuff in ourselves, which is cool. As you seek to know God, some things start getting revealed, subconsciously, consciously, start being revealed to you as who you are in your search or seeking to understand and know God a little bit more. But I find it fascinating. And yeah, just talking to my wife about, Thursday, I had my Celebrate Recovery meeting. Maybe I'll just go back to here real quick. So Thursday, I had my Celebrate Recovery meeting. And as I'm driving there, I just got hit with an overwhelming joy in my heart and in my mind with gratitude. And, to preface, my sponsor that morning, I was talking to my sponsor. He's like, I want you to do a gratitude list today, 12 things that you're grateful for, and hit me with that list later. And I was like, on it. So I did a gratitude list. But I don't think that was the main reason why I was feeling this way. I just think I was just in a presence of sitting there and just feeling grateful. Like if I were to travel back in time, there was a point in my life where I'm in jail. I just got beat up really bad. I relapsed, got beat up. One eye was completely swollen shut. I couldn't breathe out one side of my nose because my nose collapsed. Ribs were broken. And then I woke up in jail not knowing how I got there. Had no idea. I mean, I knew I was drinking earlier that day and was just in a really dark place in my life. It was one of the dark seasons of my life. But waking up in jail, behind bars, blood crusted all over my face because, I was bleeding from my mouth, I was bleeding from my nose, I was bleeding from my eye, and completely just not understanding what was going on. And I remember praying, praying to God, which all people do when they're in those dire straight situations, like, God, if you could just deliver me from this nightmare that I'm in, and thinking, I don't know. It just seems so far away from where you're at when you're sitting in it. You just seem like it's unreachable. And that's what's so powerful about hope, so powerful about, having that in your heart. Because it kind of brings that closer to you. But at the moment, it was unreachable for me at that moment where I was in my life. I was dealing with so much. But I remember praying, and I remember sitting there, closing my eyes. Well, one eye, because the other one was forcibly already closed for me. And I'm just sitting there just imagining where my life could be and how terrible I was feeling about myself, about my current state of affairs. And then that transported me from that moment back to when I was praying to where I am today. And whatever that feeling of that hope and that relief and that grace from God and all those things zapped into my heart when I was driving my car and I was reflecting back to remember that prayer I had when I was in jail. And it was just so powerful and overwhelming. I have a beautiful life today by the grace of God. I have a beautiful wife. I have amazing children. I have a great career. I have everything material-wise that you could think of that I would love to have, house, cars, food, clothes, toys, things that are just, those things don't really mean much, but I have it. And it just was so, it was beautiful. Anyway, I really digressed there for a minute, but I remember calling my wife or texting her and saying, man, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just feeling extremely grateful, overwhelming amount of gratefulness hitting my heart to the point where I was tearing up, and I was just, how great I have life now, and with my wife, and where we are in our life, and yeah, things could always be better, and we have our trials and tribulations, but for the most part, those things can't even compare to what I'm feeling at that moment. And then she replies, "Oh, sounds good. Probably because you were close to dying. That's probably why you're feeling it." She's just keeping it real, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know." I was like, in this really heartfelt moment, and she was just like, "Yeah, you're probably just reflecting on your death, and now you're feeling grateful that you're alive." And I was like, "Yeah, maybe that's true." You can come, babe.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, I decided to go live a little early. Yeah. All right, let's dive into these numbers. Sorry, I kind of digressed there for a minute. We'll pop that open. For those that are in the chat, I'm sorry, I can't see my chat right now, so I'm not ignoring you. I will answer the chats when I'm done with this. But right now, we're currently, for those that may be new or tuning in later, every Sunday, unless I'm sick, I like to walk through the back end of my YouTube and share the numbers with you, share the wealth, see how the channel's doing. I personally know right now the channel's not doing so hot, but that's okay. We're gonna get into all that. But right now I have YouTube pulled up, and then what I like to do is compare this week to the previous week, but we're probably gonna go back. Well, no, we'll keep it all a week comparison. So, all right. And then how I do that is I go to YouTube Studio here, and then I go into analytics. Here's what the channel's done in the last 28 days, which is extremely low. It's extremely low comparative to what it normally does, especially when I'm pumping out content. But that's where we're at, and it's okay. I've gotten 6,000 views, 79 watch hours, and 11 new subscribers, which is so awesome. I'm sitting at 901 subscribers. Like, I'm 99 subscribers away of hitting 1,000. I am so close, which is so exciting. But that means I have to create content. I can't just be anticipating the channel's gonna grow without putting stuff out there. So yeah, and it hurts when these lives are what I kind of been limping on for a while, doing these lives every week, and then chopping those up into shorts and stuff like that. But I didn't do anything when I was sick, so there was no action on my channel, and the algorithm's probably like, screw you, buddy. If you're not gonna be on the channel or do anything with YouTube, we're not gonna, share your stuff, I guess, which makes sense. I mean, it makes sense to me. All right, let's go ahead and dive into the comparison. So I go into custom view over here, and then I take today, and this is this week, and I hit apply. Yeah, so super low. 1.9K views this entire week, 20 watch hours, and 1 new subscriber. So for that new subscriber, thank you for coming along with me on this journey. Where this journey goes, nobody knows. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and praying and hoping that the desire for me to want to create will come back in full force. And I'll start putting out some good stuff, like good stuff. I want to put out, I think that's where I'm at in my mind, is just putting out really cool, compelling stories that I want to share with you guys. But I also want to share the non-good stuff too. So that's what these lives are for, is to dive into the non-storytelling stuff and tell a different story about who I am and connecting with you guys. All right. So this is where we're at. Now what I like to do is go into advanced mode up here. And then I go into add comparison, which is up here. Is that on? Yeah, okay. Add comparison, and then I go into period over period. Yeah, where I'm at in battery life, 35%. I got 35% battery life, so I got to make this quick. All right, here we are. So, yeah, The previous week was even worse than this week. I got 1,100 views the previous week. That's in purple. And then 1854 this week, which is not what it said. I thought I had 16 something. Anyway, yeah, so this is where we're at. Maybe they break the numbers down a little different week, but so previous was 1143, this week is 1854. These are all the videos that add up to this number right here. And then I'm just going over the top 3: views, watch hours, subscribers. Now I'm going to go ahead and dive into watch hours. So 21 the previous week, 20 this week. So a little bit of a dip. Yeah, understandable. And again, these are all the videos that lead up to the watch hour stuff. And then subscribers. Subscribers, I got 4 the previous and 1 this week. So, makes sense. I am grateful for every subscriber, every single one of you. So, thank you so much. And for that one person, thank you for coming along with us on that journey. So, that is the comparisons. So, recap real quick. We got views, 1854 this week, 1143 the previous week. Watch hours, 20, 21, and then subscribers, 1 and 4. All right. Now, I like to geek out on a couple other cool things, so I'm going to remove the comparison, and then we're going to dive into geography. Well, quite a bit, actually. I was shocked to see that many countries tuning in, but we got United States, India, Indonesia, Brazil, Pakistan, Turkey, Italy, Argentina, Japan, Thailand, Malaysia. Super dope. Yeah, what was it, like 2 weeks ago? There was only like 3 places that watched my content. But I don't even see Canada on here this week. So, all right, that's geography. Let's go ahead and go into viewer age. Wow, big spectrum compared. And so 18 to 24 years, all the way to 65 plus. Nice. And the biggest one always is the 25 to 34-year-olds. Seems to be the age group that watches the majority of my content. This is my age group, sitting at 14%. So, yeah. Now we'll dive into gender. Well, 72% male viewership, 27% female viewership. There we go. There we are. Maybe the female viewership is starting to grow. Maybe it's because the beard's coming back. Even though my wife would completely disagree with that. She is not a beard fan. So, now what else? Device type. Always mobile phone. Always rock on the top spot. Don't ever see that changing. And then operating system. Yeah, Android always. Whoa, by a lot. Man. Android with 1,300 views on the Android versus the other devices. Just makes sense, man. Those Androids be consuming the content, and I appreciate it. So, not a hater by any means, even though I'm an Apple guy. I rock Apple, and but that's okay. Oh, one of the things I've been thinking about, this is great, my Apple Watch, for like running and keeping track of stuff, like my heart rate runs, all the good stuff that this thing can do. But I've been like missing having an actual like real watch. Even though this is a real watch, just like a real timepiece of sorts. I used to be a watch guy. I used to have a collection of Movados and Bolvias, like all these really nice watches. I ended up giving them all away pretty much to other people, gave some to my son. And yeah, so now I'm missing having those timepieces because those Movados were nice. I liked a good solid watch. And I've been kind of like wanting to get another watch that's not an Apple Watch. So anyway, I digress. All right, what else? That's it. That's pretty much everything that I like to look at. I do like to close this out and go into, oh, it's 19, not 16. That's why. All right. I like looking at the content that was the most popular. This one's still getting, I mean, I almost got 1,000 views. That's crazy. In a week, this week. This video is keeping my channel alive. I'm just it's keeping people in my channel. This video right here, Christmas lights and turkey, it's like 2 years old. It is still cranking. I got 42,000 views on it. It's gotten me 35 subscribers. Like this thing, I love seeing this graph just go, and it's still going up, which is crazy to me. It's like, man. So that video is keeping my channel afloat for the most part. These other older videos are too, like this mouse, this one, you know, I've gotten this one, as you can see, it's going up too. And then you go into this one, same thing. It like plateaued for a while, and then it's just like slowly climbing back up. Now I got 6,000 views on it. It's nuts. And then all these other little shorts in this one. Yeah, I can't believe this one's still getting views. That was a funny video, but all right. Well, that's everything I like to look at and kind of geek out on. That's pretty much the update of where I am currently. Sorry, I mean, I'm not going to apologize for getting sick, but my energy towards YouTube, I'm going to say I haven't really been putting in the work, and it can show. It shows in the channel and how the channel's doing, and it makes sense to me. You know, you got to give to receive, and so that's where we're at. That's everything. So get out of there, go back to here, maybe minimize this, get this back up. Yep. All right, everybody. Well, that's it. I got, how much do I got left? I got 27% battery life on my cams. So here we are. I don't know if anybody else has anything they want to talk about. Go ahead, hop into the chat there. Any questions you have, go ahead, drop it in the chat. I just want to thank David and Joe Schmo for always being huge supporters of the channel. I know my buddy Ronald and Joseph are probably going to tune in later. My buddy John, they all got great channels, great content, and thank you guys. Thank you guys so much, and I appreciate the support. I know my buddy Joseph called and talked to me when I was kind of in the throes of being sick, and just prayed over me and wished me well. So that was nice. You know, it feels good to be supported and loved, and having that support and love and people showing up when you're down and out just feels really good. My buddy Spencer, you know, he was going to swing by the house, but I came back to work. So yeah, just having the homies in your corner, you know, when you feel like you just are barely holding on, and they kind of like lift you up a little bit, and that feels good. So Ronald, dude, first time, welcome Ronald. Yeah. Yeah, I am back at it, man. It was a little nip and tuck there for a minute. I didn't know what was going to happen, but so appreciate you hopping in, Ronald. I was just talking about you, that you're probably going to check this out later. So, and here you are, you're in the live. Whoop, whoop. Way to go, Ronald. I appreciate you, man. Party time. Yeah. Although the party's about to end, I went ahead and went through everything, so maybe you can catch up watching it, everything that I talked about. But yeah, it was an out there type video. Talked about me being sick, and then dove a little bit into the analytics and kind of where I'm at right now. So yeah, it was rough, dude. But I appreciate you, Ronald. Yeah, thank you so much. Keep putting out good content, man. I love your little shorts and your videos. Thank you. they're little tidbits of inspiring moments for me. I watched a few of them when I was sick, man. So I appreciate you. Yeah. Yeah, dude, I'm happy that you caught me live. Normally you're not, I know you're across the pond, so it's a little harder for you to tune in during the times, but here we are. You made it, and that's awesome. So, all right, guys. Well, that's pretty much all I got. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening to me vent about my disgusting adventure with being sick, but I'm back. I'm back to decent health. Gonna start running again Monday. Hopefully start creating some content, but it's hard to say. I don't know, man. That's kind of where I'm at. So I'm just keeping it real. But appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And with that being said, I will catch you on the next one.